Have you ever wondered if there are hidden clues about the New Testament buried deep inside the Old Testament?
Well, here's a big one. How could an ancient Jewish text, written centuries before she was even born, contain what seems to be a perfect description of the Virgin Mary?
Our first clue comes from the Book of Wisdom, and it's all about the kind of place that God's own wisdom chooses to call home.
The text is incredibly clear. It says, "For wisdom will not enter into a malicious soul, nor dwell in a body subject to sins." This sets up a fundamental rule, a non-negotiable. For wisdom to enter, there must be absolute purity.
Now check this out. This ancient requirement perfectly foreshadows the Catholic understanding of Mary. A body not subject to sins is, well, an incredible description of the Immaculate Conception, the teaching that Mary was free from sin, making her the pure and perfect vessel for the Word of God.
But wait, the connection goes so much deeper than just that one verse.
The author of Wisdom then launches into this stunning, poetic description of wisdom itself. And this is where the parallels become almost unbelievable.
Listen to how wisdom is described. A vapor of the power of God, a pure emanation of the glory of the Almighty, the brightness of eternal light, the unspotted mirror of God's majesty, and the very image of His goodness. These are just stunningly specific, glorious titles. What? The parallels here are just startling. These descriptions from the Old Testament become the exact titles used for Mary centuries later in the Church's official Litany of Loretto. The unspotted mirror becomes the mirror of justice. The pure dwelling place for God becomes the seat of wisdom. This isn't just a coincidence, it's a direct echo through salvation history.
And finally, the Book of Wisdom doesn't just describe a beautiful concept. It describes an active force throughout history, a presence that guides and protects God's people.
It says, "Wisdom preserved him." That was first form. She brought him out of his sin. She delivered the just man. From Adam to Noah to Joseph. Wisdom is there as a guardian, a preserver, a constant help in times of crisis. And this paints a brilliant picture of Mary's theological role. Just as wisdom guided the heroes of the Old Covenant, Mary is seen as the guide and protector of the Church, the new Eve whose obedience helps preserve and guide all of humanity.
These three incredible parallels, the purity, the majesty, and the guiding presence, all bring us back to one final question. How is any of this possible?
Back to that first question. How could an ancient text, written centuries before Jesus and Mary, contain such a specific, detailed description?
The answer lies in a really cool theological concept called typology. It's the idea that a person or event in the Old Testament can serve as a divinely inspired prefiguration, a type or a blueprint of a person or event that comes later in the New Testament.
So the personified wisdom of the Old Testament was an archetype. Her attributes, that purity, that beauty, her role as a guide, would find their ultimate human fulfillment in the Virgin Mary. She wasn't just a dwelling place for wisdom, she became the seat of wisdom herself, making the abstract poetry of the Old Testament a living reality. Makes you wonder what else might be hidden in plain sight, doesn't it?